And the Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game 1.
Everyone believed the script was already written. A broken team missing half its roster was walking into a lion's den to face a dynasty on the night their queen was being crowned. But what happens when the background actors decide to burn the script and write their own ending? The Indiana Fever just showed the world, and it was a masterpiece of defiance. The odds weren't just long, they were insulting. ESPN analysts gave them zero chance, predicting a swift and brutal sweep. Sportsbooks in Vegas had lines so lopsided it felt like a joke. The question wasn't if the Aces would win, but by how many points. The narrative was set in stone. The defending champions would roll through the formality of Game 1 on their way to a third straight finals.
Particular matchup, Aces Fever Game 1. We're not deciding the whole series right now, just Game 1.
Should we do it together?
I think we should do it together.
Okay.
Because my spidey sense are telling me they might be the same. 3, 2, 1.
Aces.
They're not gonna lose after she just won it.
Imagine the scene in Las Vegas. Championship banners hanging from the rafters. A sold-out crowd buzzing, not for a competition, but for a coronation. At center court, AJ Wilson was handed her MVP trophy, a symbol of the league's undisputed powerhouse. The Fever weren't just opponents, they were guests at someone else's party, expected to watch quietly from the corner.
Indiana Fever had no business winning a playoff series this year, had no business advancing to the semifinals for the first time in a decade, and yet here they are, eliminating the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without Sid Colson, without Erin McDonald, without Chloe Bibby. The hospital squad is on the bench, and yet the Indiana Fever are into the semifinals of the WNBA playoff.
And then there was the injury report, which read more like a tragedy. Caitlin Clark, the rookie phenom who revitalized the franchise, was sidelined. Alongside her, 5 others: Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Chloe Bibby, Ari McDonald, and Damiris Danta. This wasn't a team, it was a patchwork crew held together by sheer will, a squad that looked lucky to even be standing.
And then the coaching of Stephanie White. She is working with a 9-woman rotation, and 5 of those players did not even touch the court the last time the Fever played the Dream during the regular season, and 3 of those players weren't even on the team. I cannot say it enough. The Indiana Fever should not be here. They continue to be here. They battle. They're resilient. It's wildly impressive. Caitlin Clark wore the black Air Force Ones again. They had one of those forces lifted in the air like a beacon of hope, and now they'll face the Aces.
The weight of losing just one of those players would be significant, but losing the phenom who had captured the world's attention was supposed to be the final nail in the coffin. Without Caitlin Clark, the Fever lost not only their leading scorer and playmaker, but also their primary source of gravity on the court. The entire game plan for opposing teams revolved around stopping her. With her gone, the assumption was that Indiana had no identity, no engine, and no hope. The story was over before it began.
You actually just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about that matchup?
That they haven't seen the real Aces yet. They caught us when we were at a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? We'll buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care of business.
This wasn't just about being an underdog. This was about being invisible. The Fever were treated as a footnote in Asia Wilson's story, a placeholder in the bracket. The pre-game coverage was filled with a sense of pity, as if their greatest accomplishment was simply showing up. That kind of disrespect can either break a team or forge it into steel.
Respect everyone, fear no one. Woo! Sounds in the chat. Dub.
That's one.
The entire city of Las Vegas was primed for a party, not a fight. The energy inside Michela Baltra Arena was less about playoff tension and more about celebratory procession. Fans arrived expecting to see A'ja Wilson's MVP ceremony, followed by a routine dismantling of an outmatched opponent. The atmosphere was thick with arrogance, a shared belief that the outcome was a foregone conclusion. The Fever players felt it during warm-ups, they heard it from the crowd, and they saw it in the confident smiles of the champions. They weren't just facing a team, they were facing an entire institution that had already declared them defeated.
First semifinal appearance. Just what's your emotional state right now?
Normal, I think. It's practice. Trying to prepare like anybody else would, like any other day. But keep the main thing. That's all you can.
But from the opening tip, something was different. The Fever didn't look scared or overwhelmed. They punched back. They matched the Aces' physicality and answered their baskets. There was no sign of a team ready to roll over. Instead, a quiet confidence began to spread, a small crack in the armor of the unbeatable champions, and it hinted at the storm that was about to break.
Your younger self.
Yeah.
How would you explain to her to make sure that you give yourself grace and give you the flowers that you so willingly deserve?
Ooh, I think the best thing I could have done was, I had a list. I had a long list. I wrote down a list of all the times I could have quit, been a pro, playing with the Indiana Fever. I wrote down all the people that wrote me off. I wrote it down on a list. I wrote down all the coaches that didn't want me around. I wrote down all the media outlets that didn't want to talk to me. I think that within itself is like, you gotta tell your younger self not to give up on you. Because there's been a lot of times I could have given up when I know a lot of people that talk to me now weren't talking to me, and I know what it was like when they wasn't. So that part is big for me.
While all eyes were on the league's MVP, another player decided the spotlight belonged to her. Kelsey Mitchell, the quiet veteran, the consistent scorer who was never quite the headline, took control of the game. She wasn't just playing, she was on a mission to hijack the entire narrative and make it her own.
That time, keeping the pivot foot alive and going strong side for Wilson.
Mitchell this time finds a lane to the basket. Inside to Turner. Nice look from Mitchell, which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple of bounces.
Mitchell has always been respected in the league, but her name was rarely mentioned alongside the WNBA's biggest stars. She was seen as a great scorer on a team that was rebuilding, a talent overshadowed by louder narrative, but on this night, she refused to be a supporting character in anyone's story.
He's done that. 5-point advantage for Indy. Trying to go inside. Terrific defense by Mitchell to deny Lloyd. It's Mitchell, guarded by Evans. Screen from Turner. Kelsey Mitchell knocks down another shot.
No one is accountable for Hall.
It's Mitchell. Come on.
It was a complete scoring masterclass. Mitchell dismantled the champions with surgical precision. She hit silky mid-range jumpers over outstretched arms. She drained deep threes that silenced the crowd. And when the Aces fouled her, she was flawless, sinking every single free throw. She was a puzzle the best defense in the league had absolutely no solution for.
So who's going to step up, and how can the Aces find an edge?
Another good cut to the basket, this time by Turner.
The Las Vegas Aces are running out of time because the Indiana Fever making passes with... That's right.
Boston. Triple team, kicks it out. Kelsey Mitchell.
Her 34-point explosion wasn't just a career high, it was historic. No Fever player had scored that many in a playoff game in over a decade. More than that, no player in WNBA history had ever scored that many in their semifinal debut, breaking a record held by legends like Lauren Jackson and Cynthia Cooper. She didn't just have a great game, she carved her name into the history books.
But you could start on the defensive end. I mean, clearly we had no answer for Mitchell. Couldn't even attempt to slow her down a little bit. I thought it was really poor, really poor.
Watching from the sidelines, the injured Caitlin Clark summed it up perfectly. She sent out a simple two-word message on social media that echoed across the sports world. Kelsey, unreal. It was a powerful transfer of the spotlight, a sign of ultimate respect from the new face of the franchise to the veteran who carried them.
Lexi Hull had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. Great start for Leah Boston.
Definitely the slasher.
Boston and Wilson, two former South Carolina players. Asia can't find the bottom of the net.
5'11". Odyssey Sims and Kelsey Mitchell 5'8".
Boston up, under, and in.
Really having her battle.
Asia.
Even the opposing coach, Becky Hammon, who rarely gives praise lightly, had to admit defeat. In her post-game press conference, she stated bluntly that the Aces simply had no answer for Kelsey Mitchell. That stunned confession was the final validation. This wasn't a fluke. It was pure, undeniable dominance.
Juice efforts in us. So that's got to change this second half.
Coach, you're shooting under 40 from the field, about 7.
Get about it.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Hammond. And let's go over now to Angel Gray. For Asia. Spins, counters, doesn't get the bounce.
I am just so impressed.
Boston just faked Wilson out of her.
The symbolism was impossible to miss. On the same floor where Asia Wilson was celebrated as the league's most valuable player, Kelsey Mitchell made a silent statement. It was as if she was telling the world, we have our own MVP, and tonight she was the best player on the court.
Lexi Hull had that great steal to seal the win against Atlanta. A great start for Leah Boston.
But this historic upset wasn't built by one player's hot hand. The real secret to Indiana's win was forged on the other end of the floor in a gritty, relentless war waged by their defense. They had an answer for everything the champions threw at them, and it started with the toughest job in basketball.
First 5 minutes. One shot. Rebound. Stay high, stay high, stay high. We're good, we're good, we're good. Good job, Kels. Keep playing great defense. Yeah. Stay on the ground. Yep. Switch.
Few minutes to go in the quarter. Hull left open for three, and she hits it. Much needed. Odyssey. Thought about it, but boy.
The assignment fell to Aaliyah Boston, guard the MVP. Instead of trying to stop Wilson, Boston focused on disrupting her. She used her strength to push her off her favorite spots, contested every pass, and never gave her a moment of peace. The goal wasn't to shut her down, but to make her life a living hell for 40 minutes.
Good anticipation there by Breonna Turner. She's been on a couple WNBA all defensive teams, and she has really been key for them on that end of the floor in these playoffs.
Sims, yet again.
That's a tough matchup.
Which follows 5 Eastern time on ESPN. Mitchell. Lot of arc on that and a couple in the regular season in Asia. In the entire league.
And it worked. Wilson's final stat line looked decent, but anyone who watched the game knew the truth. She was forced into uncomfortable shots, her rhythm was broken, and the entire Aces offense sputtered as a result. Boston made the league's most dominant player look human, and that sent a shockwave of belief through her entire team.
Uses her strength, her athleticism. There were 3 or 4 Seattle players right there, but Jackie Young made the game winner.
Fade away from Natasha Howard. To the ball on the block. Now the shot clock is winding down. Young doing a good job keeping Kelsey Mitchell away from the basket, but the Fever scored.
On the perimeter, the lockdown continued. Lexi Hull was given the assignment of shadowing Jackie Young, one of the most explosive guards in the league. Hull stuck to her like glue, fighting through screens and denying her space. Young, who normally thrives on creating offense, was completely neutralized.
Great. Driving, taking the shot, stopped by.
Then there was the engine of chaos, Odyssey Sims. She attacked the rim with relentless aggression, driving straight at the heart of the Aces' defense. Her drives didn't always end in points, but they created foul trouble, sped up the tempo, and prevented the Aces from ever settling into their game. She turned a basketball game into a track meet, and Vegas couldn't keep up.
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, our group has seen it all. We wanted to come in and be the aggressor right away to make sure that we were dictating on the defensive end, and we were dictating from a pace standpoint. They're champions for a reason. We knew that they were going to make runs. They made a big one in the third, and we responded with a big one. I'm proud of our team. It's one game. It's a long series, so we got to keep the main thing. But to come in here and to be able to steal this one was big for us.
This wasn't just physical defense, it was psychological warfare. Indiana's relentless pace and unwavering intensity began to shatter the champions' composure. You could see the frustration building on the faces of the Aces players. Passes became sloppy, shots were rushed, and arguments broke out on their bench during timeouts. The Fever got under their skin, transforming the league's most poised team into a scrambling, disjointed unit that made uncharacteristic mistakes. They weren't just beating the Aces, they were breaking them mentally.
We've got to keep the main thing, and that is us playing to a standard of basketball that we want to have as an Indiana Fever organization and franchise. We've got to keep our layers, the outside, the people in our building, and the people in our locker room. And the thing I'm just so proud of with this group is it doesn't matter who's on the floor, it doesn't matter who's on our roster. They give each other the freedom to be themselves. They empower one another to be themselves and to be the best version of themselves. And every time we've had a change, every time we've brought someone in, every time we've had rotational changes, they're for each other. They live the we over the me. And when you have that, it just gives you opportunities to do really special things.
This victory was also built on the work of the unsung grinders. Natasha Howard and Brianna Turner did the dirty work inside, boxing out, altering shots, and controlling the glass. Their impact wasn't always obvious on the stat sheet, but they were the foundation of the Fever's defensive wall. When the final buzzer sounded, the most shocking statistic of the night was revealed. The Indiana Fever had outscored the mighty Las Vegas Aces 50-38 in the paint. The one area where everyone predicted they would be physically dominated became the source of their greatest strength, a testament to their heart and hustle. This masterpiece was also a battle of wits on the sidelines, and Indiana's Stephanie White won the chess match. Facing the highly celebrated Becky Hammon, White crafted a game plan that perfectly exploited the Aces' overconfidence. She knew Vegas expected a slow, methodical game they could control, so she did the opposite, pushing the tempo and encouraging aggressive, fearless play. While Hammond and the Aces were reacting, White and the Fever were dictating, proving that strategy and belief can overcome a talent deficit. But in a 5-game series, a single win is just a spark. It's not a fire. The cold, brutal reality is that the job is far from over. History is filled with teams that won Game 1 only to watch the series slip away. The real test was no longer about pulling off an upset. It was about proving it wasn't a fluke. Now, a wounded champion waits. The Las Vegas Aces have been in this position before, and they know how to respond. You can be certain A'ja Wilson, Jackie Young, and the entire roster are preparing for Game 2 with a fury. They won't be caught by surprise again. They will come out looking for revenge. This creates a brand new challenge for the Indiana Fever. For the first time, they have something to lose. They are no longer the ignored underdogs playing with house money. They now carry the burden of expectation. Can they handle the pressure of being in control? Can they absorb the champion's best punch and hit back even harder? This one game meant more than just a playoff victory. For the Indiana Fever franchise, it was a moment of rebirth. After nearly a decade of losing seasons, of being irrelevant, of waiting in the shadows, this win was a defiant roar to the entire league. It signaled that the culture of losing was dead. This wasn't just a team happy to make the playoffs. This was a group that believed they belonged on the biggest stage, fighting for a championship. The entire basketball world is now watching, holding its breath for the answer to one single question. Was that magical night in Las Vegas a beautiful, one-time miracle, or was it the birth of a true championship contender? Game 2 will tell the whole story.